Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's show. My name is Spencer Walsh. We have a good one for you. As always, on the show today, we have some breaking news as the kind of just pile of bad news continues to come down on the governor of New York, our favorite, Andrew Cuomo, as there has been new reporting showing that Cuomo aides rewrote nursing home reports to hide the higher death toll. So pretty much when this report came in from the state, they rewrote the report, and their new version of it suddenly, surprisingly, didn't have their massive error detailed whatsoever. That is
all
reporting.
I'm hearing is that Cuomo has AIDS.
Zach Loeb-Schultz is with us, as you can hear. He is net reporting is from the New York Times, and we'll take a look at also socialist legislators coming together and wanting to impeach Cuomo for these abuses of power. Also taking a look at a new crucial voting reform that just passed in the House, H.R. 1, pretty much the only bill that can keep Democrats in any sort of power long term. Also, we take a look at the stimulus bill. Ron Johnson making these court clerks will read 628 pages of Senate legislation as the White House pretty much gives up all hope of pretending like they care about progressives on this bill. And what can and should progressives do about it if they have any power or care about using it in the Congress? This is Newsflash. Welcome to the show. And Zach is continuing practically a co-host at this point. Great to have him.
We're just vibing, bro. We're just vibing.
Yeah, we're in this
senior year getting involved in politics.
Yeah, I feel like this is what you, because ever since pretty much school started and the boredom of life kind of reset back in with the quarantine and all that. I feel like you've kind of gone through these hobbies with learning magic and learning poker and all that stuff. But now now you get the politics. I think the politics phase is here to stay, though. I really think that.
I mean, the politics has always been here. It's just it goes in and out. Sometimes it's so politics is just so upsetting. You take a step back, but if you're a lefty, it's always upsetting. So you just have to get used to it.
Yeah. That was really a thing for me. Coming in and first getting involved with politics after kind of Trump won. I pretty much was 100% sure that if you had asked me in 2017, I was oh yeah, Bernie's gonna run, he's gonna win, it's gonna be easy. He was so close last time, he could do it again easily. And then it just oh wait, I just started to gradually understand, in the years leading up to that 2017 through 2018 and 2019, all that stuff. It's this is the odds are forever. We have such a steep hill to climb, and that hill has never looked steeper than right now. But it has been pretty good to see someone who, really has been doing this kind of stuff. As we talked about at the end of last show, has been doing this stuff for quite a while now. Finally get some penance here. Just to fill you in here on this latest news with Andrew Cuomo from the New York Times, J. David Goodman and Danny Hakim. Top aides to Governor Andrew Cuomo were alarmed. A report written by state health officials just landed, and it included a count of how many nursing home residents in New York had died in the pandemic. The number was more than 9,000 by that point in June. It was not public, and the governor's most senior aides wanted to keep it that way. So they rewrote the report to take it out, according to interviews and documents reviewed by the New York Times. This extraordinary intervention, which came just as Cuomo was starting to write a book on his pandemic achievements, was the earliest act known in what critics have called a months-long effort by the governor and his aides to obscure the full scope of the nursing home deaths. This is just, to me, this is just a politician who is, I think more than others, just so psychotically hell-bent against admitting that he may have made a mistake.
A big facts. Whoa. If we're gonna talk about politicians, not a man that made mistakes, I don't think Cuomo's up there just yet. Nixon,
you gotta talk about, and obviously you could say the president we just had was pretty hell bent on.
Trump.
But and you kind of expected from someone like Trump who's kind of built his whole brand off that. But it's kind of so much more shocking when you dig into this kind of hidden character that just has not been really addressed at all by the media.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that Cuomo's doing it, but it's just life now, I guess. I hate politics.
What do you mean by
I
that?
hate politics. I love. Well, I mean, hopefully Cuomo does get some serious flack for this and it doesn't happen. But it just feels like the political discourse is being constantly pulled right, pulled left. I mean, it's like on one hand you have like Dr. Seuss being banned, and then like the Republicans are saying, "Oh, cancel culture is the end of free speech," and then on the other side of it, there's like Trump, denying that an election exists.
Yeah, like
So
it's like it would be a little more encouraging. Like I feel like this current situation that we're in, if we had like a clear figure or a clear source of good that we could look to that could like possibly lead us out of this. But there just is there's no easy answer, and that's kind of the tough thing. It's hard not to just become a little bit kind of like nihilist, like watch it all burn with this.
nihilist.
Yeah.
Don't be a nihilist.
But yeah, everyone can have their doom pill moments.
Doom and gloom.
Yeah.
Doom scroll.
Doom scroll. Yeah,
that like in the doom scroll.
Yeah, I pretty much spent like all of like January doom scroll with like all this like Capitol news, and then I get to talk about the election and all that stuff. It was like that was a very doom heavy period, but I feel like we kind of like eased up a little bit on that. Because Trump's out of office now, I feel like, but like the general tone is just, oh well, like we're gonna have to just accept this. But yeah, this is actually something that's pretty surprising. It's this back in the news is probably, I think, is better because it's what he should. I mean, not to say that the sexual harassment stuff is any good. Like you shouldn't be, if you're a woman, you shouldn't have to deal with like a creepy boss in the workplace, and you should like. You have to try and avoid him for fear that he's going to ask you about, like, if you've had any, like, how's the sex? Like, kind of something like that. Like, that's a bad situation to deal with in the workplace, but we're talking about here just, like, off the charts levels of corruption. If the media doesn't tell you it, like, if the culture is, like, not, if the discourse is this isn't corruption, it's hard to really quantify it and see it for what it is, but this is, like, insane stuff what he did here. Yeah, like, and I just really think it's probably better.
People are so focused on the sexual stuff because, like, Me Too, blah blah blah. I don't care about that. That's important, but he's literally killing old people.
Yeah, I mean, well, hopefully, I'm pretty sure like most of the damage has been like abated now. But like you got the 1-2 punch of like the corporate corruption, and the fact that you get people's relatives just dropping dead, and you're not even able to get in touch with them. You're not able to find out what's going on. It's like. Your relative is far away in this nursing home, as we discussed with that story at the end of the last show, and you just don't even know. And then all of a sudden they're dead, and you're like, "What? How could that happen? Oh, I want answers, and could pursue them through the legal system." Oh wait, nope, that's not possible.
Shielded,
because Cuomo paid or Cuomo put that shield in, and it was bought and paid for. Like it really was. I mean, once that kind of stuff comes out, like this stuff has all been there. But I think this big story about kind of being splashed on the New York Times is good because it kind of takes the pressure off and makes it more of kind of a corruption case, which I think more and more people can kind of get behind and see that there's a bigger need here.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
I do feel like a little bit. What are you gonna say?
I said I agree.
Yeah, like I think it's probably for the best though, but I don't want to like again you don't want to minimize. It should be everyone's right to work in a workplace where they don't have to worry about like their boss, asking them about their sex life or trying to grab them or something like that.
That's quite creepy.
That is very, very bad. But but again, the aides in the office were, seemed to be like pretty bad people too. Like Cuomo and his aides actually began concealing the numbers months earlier, as his aides were battling their own top health officials, and well before requests for data arrived from federal authorities, according to documents and interviews with 6 people with direct knowledge of the discussions who requested anonymity to describe the closed-door debates. The central role played by the governor's top aides reflected the lengths to which Cuomo has gone in the middle of a deadly pandemic to control data, brush aside public health expertise, and bolster his position as a national leader in the fight against coronavirus. So that position, again, is clearly dead. But yeah, like I have to wonder, like, what do you think that with this? How do you think this is going to land with the broader population here? I mean, at least in New York, because
I don't even know. I mean, it seems like only the people who actually care about politics are hearing this. The problem is the freaking Republicans got to it first, and then once you hear anything from them, it's like, oh, it's literally over.
Yeah, like, and honestly, probably the area that will have as much a say as any to determine whether Cuomo remains in the governor's mansion is right here, like in this like area, like suburban, like moderate counties, like that. Well, that's right here. So, be interesting to see what happens with like the state, like our current state representative. Like, is he going to say? What has he said about this matter? Has he called for an independent review? Like, because like, these are really the areas that put Cuomo over the top. Like,
I don't think there's any chance he resigns at this point.
I mean,
I think an impeachment would have to happen, which I don't think will happen.
Yeah, it's going to be very likely, but there is some kind of very unlikely, but there's going to be some sort of like Democratic
condemnation at least.
Yeah, like especially from kind of the more left scandal. So, yeah, I googled this. Like, our current state senator is Pete Harckham, actually.
Yep, he won. He beat Rob Astorino.
Yeah, and a surprisingly close race. Like, that was very surprising. And
scary.
Guess who helped him over the line with a big endorsement? That's right.
Bernie? Yeah.
Our governor, Andrew Cuomo.
Oh, Cuomo, just kidding.
Yeah, so he says, let's see, the governor, Mark Molinaro says, the governor needs to resign. He's a Republican Dutchess County executive. And we have to see here. We got to scroll down a little bit for Harckham.
I like him, except, I mean, this is like my thing with literally every progressive. It's like, yeah, I mean, I like you, except your gun policy sucks.
Yeah. I mean, that's always going to be part of it.
I just went on his website. I'll read it. I reject the idea that we cannot prevent gun violence while also protecting people's Second Amendment rights. And then this is bold and underlined. We need to pass the red flag bill, keep our schools and families safe. This bill that would temporarily remove firearms from the homes of people who are deemed either a threat to themselves or to others by a judge. It combines due process rights with the ability of concerned friends, family members, teachers, or law enforcement officers to proactively prevent a tragic situation. 11 other states in the country have passed this common sense legislation. It's time for New York to take this crucial step. So the reason I disagree with this is if you have any knowledge on what is called guardianship, basically people abuse the system and they will just like, guardianship, let me explain what it is first. If you're an old person and you can't take care of yourselves, you can go to a judge and say, hey, someone needs to take care of this person. So if there's a living family member, you could take up that mantle, or they could hire somebody to do it. And that person basically has control of like all your finances and dictates
like
your
life. Power of attorney situation.
Yes, and the method behind that was, a judge has to certify it, right? So nothing bad's gonna happen. Well, I mean, like thousands of arrests later, not thousands, I don't know, hundreds. Basically, the system was incredibly fraudulent. It was used by tons of people to defraud old people. Like, people would just show up to old people's houses and be like, all right, like, I'm your guardian now, and then steal all of their money by like charging them on ridiculous nonsense. Yeah. So yeah, I disagree with this measure.
It's like taking away like trying to ask your grandmother if you want to buy games on the iPad. Like, you can do it, but like that's even worse because it's your grandmother. Like, a
judge should not be able to just take away your Second Amendment rights unless it is a judge
I think it's like
in a criminal case.
I think it's a little bit of like a distance. Like, it's not the same situation because we're talking about like guns and like protection. Like, you can tell it's like if you tell someone's like mentally ill or like they've been, I don't know. Like, I don't even know exactly what the qualifications would be, and I could see how they could be like a little bit too wide. But I think it's a lot easier to do when you're talking about like care over, especially like a rich person maybe, and their finances. If you're old, chances are you have a little bit more money stored away. It's more easy. But just like you're taking away someone's like right to own a gun, that's not as financially attractive, even if it is an important right to have. But yeah, so this is just what Pete Harcum said about this. He said he once worked in the Cuomo administration. He did. He said calls for the resignation are hasty. There are serious allegations. They're troubling, but I think it's premature. We call for an investigation. I have all confidence in the Attorney General that it'll be swift, it'll be thorough, it'll be impartial. But we should hold off judgment on the resignation or other action until that investigation is complete. So, I mean, again, like, this is a perfect example of what, like, these kind of pro Cuomo people are trying to do here, is just be like, oh, you know, the sexual harassment thing, like, that's not good. But what about the nursing home situation? No one has addressed the nursing home situation, and no one has addressed the clear examples of corruption. But I think now, and it's too early to tell because this story was published last night, they may finally have to.
Why does he call himself a senator? That pisses me off.
What,
even
Pete
though
Harcum?
He technically is.
Yeah, he's
like a senator.
It's a little bit
you're
of
a state senator. There's a bit of a difference. Buddy.
Yeah, there's a little bit of like you can just be like, oh yeah, I'm going to like it's like saying I'm going to Columbia, but it's like
this
Columbia Technical University or something. Like that.
Chair of the Senate Committee of Alcoholism and Substance Abuse. Yeah, the state Senate, not the. Also, why would you? That's such a weird thing to put.
State Senate is incredibly important in terms of.
Oh no, it's incredibly well,
yeah.
Especially in a country with 10th Amendment guaranteed very strong states' rights. The state Senate is extremely important. I'm just saying, you know, it's not the real Senate, pal.
Yeah, it's not the full, like, you can be like, oh, I'm a senator, but you know, you're really.
It's also so weird he put that he was in the Alcoholism and Substance Abuse Committee. Like, senators are in a bunch of different committees.
Well, I mean, the popular ones are. I think this guy's pretty new. I think Pete is pretty new.
He served 2 terms.
Maybe we can like encourage him to make us like write him a letter or something like that. Do some.
I wanted to write Mondaire Jones a letter about his horrible gun policy.
Well, you can do that. See if you get a response.
Maybe I will.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll change his opinion, but
yeah, probably.
He wants an assault weapons ban, which is the dumbest idea ever, since there's like a million problems with that statement. Let's just start with the fact that start with the fact that an assault rifle is not even a real term. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I really am not too. I mean, I think you talk about like there's some like gun like legislate like that red flag law to me kind of makes sense, although with the caveat I said about it before. But again, like guns to me are not a very like high ranking issue.
Yes, dude, our minorities are harder to oppress.
But are you really going to talk about like the like? Is there going to be an armed militia that's going to rise up? Like,
it's not about that. It's about that in a way, but it's also just about personal protection. I'm going to read you a quote.
Yeah, that's a different situation, though.
Under no pretext should arms and ammunition be surrendered, semicolon. Any attempt to disarm the workers must be frustrated by force if necessary. Karl Marx.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I guess with the pandemic, yeah, the mass shootings have calmed down, but
gun purchases are sky high right now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think, yeah, we're definitely going in that direction, because I think more and more people are feeling like the government doesn't care about them and they're on their own. And like, that's, what are you gonna do? You got to protect yourself somehow, you know? Like, that's the easiest way to do it, like, you feel like you're doing something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is great here.
Wait, hold on. I just thought of something.
What?
So you know who my personal favorite hero is?
What is?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald
I just had
Reagan.
this really scary thought that, like, I love Ronald Reagan, but if he ever did something horrible, like, I don't even know, like sell weapons to Iran, to give weapons to the Contras to fight against the communists in Nicaragua. I mean, that would just completely. I don't even think I could view him the same way.
Yeah, but like,
thank God that's not real though.
The Gipper would never do something like that. He's one of America's. America's top presidents. My
heartbeat is pumping. I actually got nervous thinking about the fact that could be real. Ooh.
Famously honest, famously competent, you know. Yeah. On that note, yeah. So the best part is, like, the health department worked on the report with McKinsey, a consulting firm. Again, key word here.
McKinsey.
Anyone
Isn't
anyone possibly associated with McKinsey or who has ever worked for McKinsey or like in any way involved with
isn't that
anything
the
McKinsey
lobbyist
done.
group?
Yeah, they're a consulting firm that pretty much like tells like companies how
they're
to
like
be
the biggest consulting firm, right?
Yeah, they pretty much tell companies how to be like more evil, more efficiently to like make a little bit more money. Like they told ICE like here's how you can get economy cages so you can pack the most kids in there possible. Like that's not exactly what they did.
What's the name of the?
It's where Pete worked for. Like it's.
Oh, I was thinking about McKesson. That's what I was thinking of. McKesson is the pharmaceutical company.
Oh yeah, I've definitely seen the McKesson somewhere. But yeah,
they're the
McKinsey,
7th largest companies by revenue.
They are just not a good company. So the chart they compare nursing home deaths in New York to other states. New York's total of 9,250 deaths far exceeded the next highest state, New Jersey, which had 6,150 deaths at the time. The changes sought by the governor's aides fuel bitter exchanges with health officials working on the report. The conflict punctuated an already tense and evolving relationship between Cuomo and his health officials, one that would fuel, no surprise, the exits of the state's top public health officials. Like, yeah, I mean, Cuomo's not that bad. He's not a fun guy to work with, but like, it seems a little weird that all of his nine health officials would just leave because he's kind of a pill to be around. But no, like they were literally being pressured to write deaths out of their reports by Cuomo and his like vampire aides. Like,
no, that's definitely resignation worthy in my opinion.
Yeah, like how does that work? Like, is his polling like? I gotta look up his polling here. It's got to be.
Remember when Bill Clinton got impeached for perjury, and now Cuomo is like, I don't even know what crime does this break.
It is insane. So a majority of New Yorkers do not think Governor Andrew Cuomo should step down amid two controversies that engulfed his administration over several weeks. 55% of New Yorkers believe the governor should remain in office. 40% back his resignation. But Cuomo retains the support of Democratic voters. 74% say he should remain in office, but it's the opposite for his, opposite for the Republicans. But in the long term, things bode less well for the governor. New Yorkers by a large margin of 59-36 believe Cuomo should not seek a fourth term, which he has signaled he will do. Voters are also split on his job approval. 45 approve, 46 approve. This is a 30 percentage point drop in the college's poll from a year ago. 72% of people last year approved of his performance. So yeah, because this was like right as COVID was starting to ramp up, and it has been a real mess for Cuomo. And like the most likely scenario, just given the world we live in, right, is like that he's going to finish out his term and not seek a fourth term and then go like work, in a lobbying job or something like that. Like that is exact. And then be like, oh, he's gone, woohoo!
Figure out how to kill old people more efficiently.
Yeah, maybe he'll like work for McKinsey and be like,
maybe he'll combine his talents and ask dead old people if he can have a kiss.
Do you want to kiss me? Come on, give me a kiss. I've had a lot.
Have you ever been with an older man?
I've been very lonely this pandemic. When's the last time you've hugged someone? I mean, really hugged someone. Yeah, those are all real. He's a where's my hug at type of governor. Believe it or not. So the crisis over Cuomo's behavior with women came just as his administration had been dealing with the political turmoil was really boiling over the nursing homes. Lawmakers moved to strip him of emergency power he had been granted during the pandemic, and federal prosecutors in Brooklyn have opened a separate investigation. So a lawyer hired to represent Cuomo and his aides, Elkin Abramovitz, began interviewing senior staff members in the governor's office about the nursing home report, according to a person with knowledge of the discussion. So the aides who were involved in changing the report included Melissa DeRosa, the governor's top aide, who also pressured certain Democratic lawmakers and admitted that eventually the Democratic lawmakers that the cover-up was real. Linda Lacewell, the head of the state's Department of Financial Services, Jim Malatras, a former top advisor to Cuomo, brought back to work on the pandemic, and none had public health expertise. Again, like at the end of the day, these are just people who are like insanely power hungry and bad people. So, good news is 6 of New York's left-wing legislators called this week for the impeachment of Governor Andrew Cuomo. On Tuesday, state senators Julia Salazar Jabari Brisport, along with Assembly members Emily Gallagher, Forrest Dufront Forrest, Zohran Mamdani, and Marcella Mitaines, all self-identifying socialists, released a statement calling for Cuomo's impeachment. If successful, this would be the only second such proceeding in state history, following the impeachment of Governor William Sulzer in 1913. That the left-wing officials made this call should come as no surprise, not only because Cuomo's legacy of a technocratic conservative Democrat makes him a natural and rightful enemy of the left, although that is indeed the case. Rather, Democratic Socialists now in the state government recognize the necessity of dismantling the unaccountable power the governor has come to represent, epitomized by, but far from limited to, the instance of sexual harassment which he has accused. So, like, this is going to be a very, like, kind of poetic situation where all these people who have just seen this this guy kind of run unaccountable for so long will be the ones who get to at least try at this point and rein him in. Do you think? Do you think they'll be successful?
No. I mean, this is gonna blow over in like a day. The Republicans are gonna do something dumb, and then it's like,
I don't know. I think this has like the real burn of a controversy, because you get the sexual harassment stuff, like a new accuser could come, and then you get this nursing home stuff. Like, I think it'll continue to be a story. I hope so, but I don't know. Yeah, we'll definitely continue talking about it. That's for sure.
Do you hear do you watch the new NRA video about how they reincorporated in Texas?
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were saying all this dumb shit like, oh, we're gonna so much more successful now. The NRA is the worst organization in the entire world. I hate them.
Yeah, I mean, they don't give, like, gun owners a very good look.
Yes.
I have to say. So, yeah.
That's why I'm a proud member of the SRA.
You officially joined the Socialist Rifle Association?
Yeah, but I'm 18, so it's cool.
Wait, are you? No, right?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wait, when did you turn 18?
Wink.
I got it. I see what you did there. I was so confused. Yeah. I honestly, I've come so close to, like, if I were to join a organization, as I said before, it would be like the DSA. But I've never actually. Do you have to, like, pay money, like, per month or something?
It's like $25.
Oh, damn.
A year.
Oh, a year.
So it's not bad at all.
Yeah, the DSA, the lowest you can go is $5 a month.
That's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money. It's like $60 a year.
Yeah, it's like, but yeah, you get to go to. I don't know what you get for it. I think you get a card, and you get like
the vote,
certain access.
I mean, they don't have candidates, so like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, I guess you like internally you vote, but like,
wow,
it's
so
really
cool.
Doesn't really matter. You just get. I think you go on like caucuses, or who even knows, but yeah. It's going to be very interesting to see, like, if they can set some sort of a role in terms of, like, actually teaching how, like, teaching the progressive Democrats in the real Senate and House how to actually use their own power, because they have been struggling with that lately. And that, of course, comes with this stimulus bill that we have going on right now, where with the President Biden's nearly $2 trillion stimulus bill moving towards the passage, Senator Ron Johnson brought the proceedings to a halt on Thursday by demanding that Senate clerks recite the 628-page plan word by word, delaying the action to register his objection. So imagine, like, you're probably, like, low-paid person in the Senate, like, kind of just working for everyone else on the totem pole, and then you're, like, Thursday night is just ruined by this guy being like, yeah, you got to read 628 pages of Senate legislation out on the floor, which is really just insane because this is the bill that like provides so much relief that's so desperately needed to states, to average people. Like what is the point of this? I don't get it.
I don't. Wait, say that again. What
did you not hear?
The whole thing.
Did it like cut out or something?
Yeah.
Oh, it's like Ron Johnson is like of Wisconsin, which is like a state that like Democrats. I don't get why they're not able to. I mean, if they won Wisconsin, I mean Biden won Wisconsin. I think it was pretty close actually.
Because it's like that's for like presidential elections. For senator,
it's still the same state.
Different.
I guess they don't have a good candidate, but I mean they got a Republican governor. Or sorry, Democratic governor who won by he is in a lot of trouble actually as well. But yeah, they just keep electing just people who are incredibly anti like worker in any way. But again, this is a thing that would really deliver hundreds of $billions for vaccine distribution, schools, jobless aid, direct payments to Americans, and small business relief, as broad bipartisan support among voters. Republicans signaled, though, that they would be unified against it, and Democrats were ready to push it through on their own, using a special fast-track process to blow past the opposition. But in the Senate, where even the most mundane tasks are subject to arcane rules, any senator can exploit them to cause havoc. The exercise was Republicans' latest effort to score political points against a measure they were powerless to stop and punish Democrats with a time-consuming, boredom-inducing chore. Yeah, so pretty much just making a bunch, like 3 Senate aides get sore throats to hold up this relief to Americans for an extra, 1 or 2 days. Really, is all it's going to be. It'll probably pass Sunday, but yeah, I think the most important thing is here, like, what is in it. For the last week, Americans have been paying attention to politics, have learned an important truth. Joe Biden may live in the White House, but conservative Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat of West Virginia, is effectively president.
Quotes.
Yeah, I mean, like, this guy, like, it's not President Joe Biden, it's President Joe Manchin at this point. Like, Joe Biden has refused,
guy,
and he doesn't
one
even
fucking dude. He's so annoying.
And the truth is here, Biden doesn't even care to lobby him. Like, there's been reports out that, like, on the minimum wage, on the bill, on the current COVID relief bill, Manchin's office is like, oh yeah, he didn't reach out to me at all about that. Like, he doesn't care because in large part he likes where Manchin is thinking.
Yeah, it's like, it's so annoying to me. This one dude prevents like every single bill in the entire. He can just stop the government. Effectively.
Yeah, and like that's the same. It's very similar, I think, to the kind of tactics and the kind of ideology and the mindset that Ron Johnson's using, because like they whatever power that, like, whatever levers they can pull, they pull, like, and they actually are effective.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, some have argued the way to fix this situation is by ending the filibuster, but that's a catch-22. It's an absolutely necessary reform, but President Manchin is pledging to veto it. Even if Democrats were to eliminate the filibuster, they would still need Manchin's stamp of approval for virtually all legislation, given the Senate's current 50-50 split. The way to fix this dynamic is for a decisive number of House Democrats or Democratic senators to make a clear line in the sand series of demands and demonstrate they will vote down Democratic legislation that does not honor those demands. And they must do this specifically on must-pass legislation for which Biden can find 0 GOP votes. So this kind of thing, like this idea of like must-pass legislation, is very few. Like, it's only like 6 or 7 bills a year, and one of them is obviously the COVID bill, because Biden is not going to give up on the COVID bill. He's just like, oh, we'll forget about it. He's not going to drop it. He's going to pass it. So he's going to have to, at some point, reach some deal with somebody. And the only person who's really asking for anything or actually trying to gum up the works is Joe Manchin. So what do you think about this? Like, should people like Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, or in the House, you got like, AOC, all the usual suspects there, should they try and hold this bill up for more of their priorities?
I think HR1 is the single most important bill that has ever reached the Senate at this point.
Not even with
Because,
HR
I
one,
mean,
but just with the COVID relief.
I do think, well, COVID relief is like, think about it like this. Like, imagine if you couldn't even pass the Civil Rights Act because you didn't have 60 senators. That's why HR1 is so important. So,
Yeah, we're gonna get
you're
to
not
HR
going to get
one
the
though.
you're not going to get the COVID relief bill that you want if we don't pass HR1, but obviously you can't pass HR1, so you're kind of screwed. But I mean, you just saw it. I mean, well, Senate parliamentarian, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna. And also, I think a big part of this, a big obstacle of this, is like the Democratic Party and the fact that they could do a lot of these steps. There are multiple options for them to get the minimum wage, and also the fact that they literally agreed to narrow down the bill, and send money to less people. Like that is what they decided to do here. So let's over this again from David Sirota here in the Daily Poster.
Yeah, where's my stimmy, Biden?
Yeah, you're not gonna. If you thought you were gonna get a stimmy, yeah, you got another thing coming.
I could have got like $600.
Yeah,
not really.
no. But yeah, so the way to force Biden to stop pretending he has no agency and instead motivate him to use the overwhelming power of the executive branch to press the conservative wing of the party to back down, and it is also really the way to get Manchin himself to negotiate. Right now, he gets to operate with impunity because there's no other counterforce. There's no group, no force, no person or people in any way saying that, yeah, there's another way here, and we got to take it because it's a smart political path. And we're going to use our power and our leverage to try and force the issue. So the COVID relief bill provides progressive, game-changing opportunities here, and the process they can heroically deliver on not some unimportant issue or tangential agenda item, but instead on the crucial cause of delivering a desperately needed higher minimum wage to millions of Americans. The debate over the legislation also gives the public a way to see whether self-identified progressive heroes are serious about actually using the power like President Manchin. So, this COVID relief bill is kind of just a smaller version of a bigger picture. This is kind of the tactic that Joe Manchin uses all the time. He successfully pressured the executive branch to support further limiting eligibility for survival checks, devising a phase-out policy so absurdly punitive that even reliable partisan Democratic pundits and centrist think tank wonks can't support it. They're like, this is just bad policy. Like, this is just designed to piss people off. And this is the Democratic ideology. Like, if we have to give you any money, maybe we'll give you a little bit more from the Republicans, but we're going to make you jump through as many hoops, and we're going to try to humiliate you so you know that you don't deserve this and you're bad for even thinking that you may deserve it. Like, that is the mindset from really both sides of the U.S. government when it comes to the rare and just disgusting scenarios where we may have to give money to some ordinary people, and especially
the proletariat.
The horror of those who, oh my gosh, they may not actually even need it, but it may help them, give them like some semblance of economic security. That as well. Oh, that is also just the most disgusting thing.
The person doesn't need a stimulus thing. Doesn't make any sense. It's meant to stimulate the economy. It doesn't matter who spends it. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter where it's spent, but I mean, for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying we're not saying just give it to like whoever. Like, there should be.
Yeah, don't just give it in the form of a tax break. That actually is a problem.
Yeah,
but
there's ways of, like, if you really don't need it, to tax it back relatively easily. So, yeah, these payments here, which are $1,400 instead of $2,000, which were promised, will now likely go to 17 million fewer people than the last round of checks under Donald Trump as a result of Manchin's handiwork. So here, this is the thing. They're going to go home, and because for some reason, I don't know who this resonates with, they're going to go home to their town halls and be like, here's what we did as Democrats in the Senate. We changed the bill to give fewer people less money than we promised, and we are going to we're going to phase it off, and we're going to make it more punitive, and we're going to make it like the hoops bigger, and again, more than the Republicans here. Like, that is the crazy thing. Just absolutely insane. Like, literally, the position Manchin has here, making austerity demands, cutting down the checks. We got to cut them from 80,000 to 75,000. We're gonna like do this cutoff period here. We got to like phase this out over the certain income bracket. Like, all this ridiculous crap is literally putting him.
Nobody cares. Just give people the freaking stimmies, bro. Yeah. Give us a 15.
Give it. Hand it over. Hand over the money. Give it 2,000. Like, is really what it should be. 2,000 checks out the door. It seems so simple. We were so foolish to believe that Joe Biden might actually say, we got to actually give these 2,000. Like, they said immediately. We thought they meant immediately. How foolish we were. Jesus Christ. Like, I think, like, if you're especially if you're a voter in Georgia and you're like, oh yeah, I really need a $2,000 check. It could help me with the rent. It could help me put some food on the table, keep the lights on, that kind of thing. In a tough time, we're maybe going from one job to another. And then this is the results of $2,000 checks at the door immediately that you heard from John and the Reverend. Like, I don't get how you can take the Democratic Party seriously when they come back next year and be like, hey, can you vote for us again? Like, do you?
True that.
I mean,
it's true.
Yeah, like, it's just a ridiculous.
This is not new though. It's like every year it's like this.
Yeah, and like the question really, I guess, falls on us is like, how do we stop it? How do we? Like, I think that really revolves around creating an independent
elect
power
better
base.
People.
I mean, you can't really just elect.
It's true.
Better people in the kind of time frame we need. It's like, it's got to be some sort of outside power force, and that you know what I'm talking about there. What that outside power force would be.
Are you saying Bernie or the DSA?
I'm talking about labor unions.
Oh, hell yeah! Amazon for 15.
Yes, we are. Yeah, following that, and I got to check in with that very kind communications director there on that. But yeah, so there, like, of course, we have the ridiculous, Senate parliamentarian charade around the $15 minimum wage. They won't go through it, presumably because they think, Sinema's going to oppose it, and probably because they don't really support the policy in the first place. But the reason Manchin has become the legislative center of gravity is obvious, if unstated. The implicit threat is that if he doesn't get exactly what he wants, he'll cast a decisive vote against the final bill, killing it in one fell swoop, because there will almost certainly be no Republican votes for the final package, no matter what is in the legislation. Because, again, it's politically advantageous for them to just say, no, we will never do a deal with the Democrats. Never, ever, ever. So, yeah, Manchin, in other words, seems to have all the power and is more than happy to wield it. By contrast, Biden, the literal most powerful man on the planet, appears to be refusing to wield power. He doesn't seem to have lifted a finger to try and shape the Senate dynamic. He reportedly hasn't even pushed Manchin on the minimum wage at all, which suggests the president is either cartoonishly lazy, believes such an effort would prove fruitless, or actually doesn't want to deliver on his promises and has found the perfect excuse in this West Virginia senator. I mean, again, like, that is the Democrat specialty, like, telling you all these long list of reasons about why they can't do anything. Like, that is the function of them. Like that's their big excuse. Like, they got one side of the Democratic Party, I feel like, is devoted to finding jobs for like talentless people who work in it, and the other side is just trying to tell its voters, oh, I'm so sorry, we'll get him next time. Like, like, it is a very
oh, dude, we were this close, man.
Yeah, it's like the Washington Generals.
I mean, have you guys heard of the Senate parliamentarian? Like, we just have to do what she says. I know, it's the worst.
Yeah, because if we didn't do it, we'd be sexist.
We're in this boat together, I mean, actually, I have a yacht and you are poor. But, we're in the boat. We're in the same boat.
Yeah, guys, I really want this. I really want you guys to have a higher wage. What was that? I can't hear you down there, but hello. Like, it is ridiculous. So, yeah, so the key here is this must pass Democratic legislation that has no chance to secure any GOP votes. May be the foundation of the current Manchin presidency, but they can also be the foundation of a long overdue progressive realignment in Congress. And like this can happen here. Manchin's threat of voting down Democratic legislation is only able to just disproportionately determine policy outcomes because there's no serious ideological threat on the other side serving as a counterweight to say, you know what, we're going to pull our support from this too. We're going to play the same game here. So put it another way, Manchin is this powerful because he's willing to wield power and his purported ideological opponents are not. Amazingly, Manchin remains unchecked even though there are enough progressives in Congress to create this necessary countervailing power. In a narrowly divided House in which no Republicans will vote for a COVID relief bill, it would take somewhere between 6 and 10 congresspeople on the Democratic side to join together as a bloc and make a game-changing declaration that they will not vote for a final passage of a Senate-passed COVID relief bill that does not include a minimum wage increase. Similarly, in the Senate, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, or Ed Markey could pull their own version of Manchin and make the same declaration. Do the Manchin rule. Like, literally just make it Manchin. Like, call it after, like, another like, kind of crappy white guy, just like all the rules in the Senate are named after, saying that they would not vote yes in the final passage unless the legislation includes Sanders' amendment to increase the minimum wage. Like there are people from like all walks of the progressive movement here coming together and say this. Like, yeah, Cenk Uygur to, you know, the most communist guy who still cares about the Democratic Party is coming out and saying this. So it is very, very important. If this would work, why hasn't it happened? Almost certainly because congressional progressives are more moral than Manchin, as Representative O'Connor articulated in last night's Daily Post or live chat. They generally do not want to delay this desperately needed legislation to help millions of people and extend federal unemployment benefits expiring in 10 days. And the assumption is that Manchin would be more than okay with doing just that. So, like, that's kind of just a quick little ideological roadmap of what we can do. So, do you think that is a kind of good or viable path forward?
Yeah, I agree with it.
Yeah, like I don't think the idea that we should be like worrying about, oh, you hold it up. But I mean, if you hold it up and actually deliver, then I think the rewards are going to pay off a lot more for your political faction. All right. Yeah, we're going to finish up here with this HR1 good news. On Wednesday night, the House of Representatives passed a sweeping package of voting rights and campaign finance reform that, if enacted, would reshape the structure of American politics, expanding the franchise and diminishing the power of wealthy interests. The bill passed not long before midnight with a margin of 22-10, with every Republican voting no, joined by one Democrat, Benny Thompson of Mississippi. So H.R. 1 is the For the People Act, creating a national system of automatic voter registration, which is expected to bring millions of new voters to the ballot box, which, again, is not necessarily a good thing for Democrats, but it is very telling that
yes,
Democrats...
It is. What do you mean?
No, because turnout, it did not necessarily equal Democratic victory.
But there are more Democrats then.
But
across the board, turnout would help Democrats. Yes, there literally is. There's like statistically more Democrats.
Well, if you look at the last election, though, like it depends who turns out. Like if you have every single Democrat turn out and every single Republican, then yeah, the Democrats are probably going to win. But some people who sometimes, you know, Republicans get more excited for a certain candidate than the Democrats will, and then
this isn't a great measure, but the Democratic Party has 10 million more members.
Like signed up, registered like how do you become like registered voters or?
Yeah, well, it says membership, so I think that's registered voters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And also, they haven't lost a popular vote in like 20 years or something.
Another true point. Not since Kerry, I believe.
No,
Kerry.
Kerry.
Yeah. But yeah. So, without the passage of this legislation, Republicans are well positioned to retake the House of Representatives in 2022 without persuading a single voter to switch parties or turning out new voters, but by gerrymandering in the wake of Trump's administration's the Trump administration's rigged census, which is criminal what they're able to do with that. Yeah, it is very, very bad. But the bill pretty much tackles the influence of the super rich on politics by creating a Freedom from Influence fund for every contribution up to $200 received by a candidate in a primary or general election campaign. The fund matches by 6 times, turning that $200 into $1,200. The contribution is not eligible for a match, however, if the donor gave more than $1,000 to a candidate in an effort to make sure that members of Congress are funded by regular people, not the rich. No taxpayer money is involved. Again, that's the thing that Republicans probably would not want you to figure out. The matching money is to be funded by a surcharge levied, and this is kind of the best part, on the top of fines doled out to convicted white-collar financial crimes. The logic is pretty straightforward. Those abusing the Democratic system should pay to fix it. So pretty cool methodology there. So the bill has strong support among Democrats in the Senate, support that is only growing stronger as Republicans really release a wave of voter suppression laws, particularly in Arizona and Georgia, because, I mean, even the most conservative Democrat can understand, wink, wink, Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema, that your survival as a party pretty much depends on this law.
Yeah.
This bill becoming law. Like, it is that critical. So this means passage requires busting or evading the filibuster here. Jeff Merkley, an advocate of drastically reforming the filibuster to return the Senate to a majority-run institution, said the idea of a democracy reform exception to the filibuster has been discussed if it appears that the full repeal is not in the cards. So for more on the filibuster's prognosis, there has been interviews. Adam Gentleson writes a lot about that kind of stuff. So that filibuster is going to be necessary to put that bill through the Senate because it has to, of course, get 60 votes. And if you don't have 60 votes, you are screwed on that.
Almost a budget reconciliation.
Yeah, but you can't do budget reconciliation with this type of bill.
That is true.
Yeah, so on that note, we are officially out of time. We'll be back Sunday. See you then.
Sunday.